Here are some more interesting variety coins that were sold at the Stack's Bowers Spring Showcase auction. We can start off with a modern and oftentimes overlooked variety coin. This first year of issue Sacagawea dollar coin from the Philadelphia Mint is what is affectionately known by the coin collecting community as a Wounded Eagle dollar coin. The name derived from the diagonal die scratch or line that is seen on the reverse design, seemingly transecting the eagle's abdomen, making it look like it has been speared or wounded in some fashion. This coin was graded by PCGS as MS66 Plus and sold at auction for $408. And speaking of lesser known, or at least lesser acknowledged coins, here we have an overdate variety on a nickel 3-cent or trime coin from 1887, in the form of an 1887 over 6 variety. Since the Coinage Act of 1873 required the destruction of all dated dies at the end of each year, the 1887 over 6 is probably the result of a mistake by a Mint employee, likely using the older 1886 logo type punch by mistake before correcting it to the correct 1887 type. Receiving a grade of Proof 66 from PCGS, it was sold at auction for no less than $960. While not as popular or even as sought after as the more famous 1955 or more comparable 1969 doubled obverse pennies, this 1972 doubled obverse Lincoln cent variety is every bit as worthy of praise and admiration as its more celebrated bigger brothers, displaying bold doubling on every aspect of the design. It is, however, most noticeable on the date, but the letters of both Liberty and In God We Trust are all also doubled to tremendous effect on this fantastic coin. This beautiful example of which was graded by NGC as MS66 Red and managed to raise $1,140 at auction's close. The 1939D doubled obverse Walking Liberty half dollar is frankly not the most popular variety coin you'll likely to come across. The doubling on the obverse of the coin is not exactly the most mind-blowing, and it is oftentimes overlooked in favor of the repunched mint mark variety also from the Denver Mint from the same issue. What we have here, though, is a very attractive example on a very high grade, with shimmering mint luster across nearly the entire surface of the coin, the doubling to the letters of In God We Trust almost becoming secondary to the coin's condition, and the grade of MS67 Plus from NGC, for which it saw a closing price at auction of $2,160. Combining repunch date and overdate coins, there are well over a dozen similar varieties to search for from the 1883 Shield Nickel, although the current FS303 1883 over 2 overdate example is definitely the most abundant. The remnant of an original numeral 2 is seen far towards the west of the 3, closer to the base of the second 8 in fact. In addition to that, there is also the remnant of the original 8 between the two 8s as well. This coin was graded by PCGS as MS64 and is accompanied by the fabled and seldomly seen gold CAC seal of approval. At auction, it managed to sell for the sum of $4,320. So, fair enough, not a variety coin per se, but true 5 full steps examples of the 1965 nickel are so unbelievably rare that it might well be considered as such. This despite, or perhaps as an indirect result, of the astronomical mintage figure achieved during this issue, which was a direct result of the ill-advised date and mint mark freeze policy that the mint adopted to try and appease reactionary politicians in the wake of the national coinage shortage of the early 1960s. But ignoring all of that, this coin is today graded by NGC as MS66 with 5 full steps, and at auction it raised $3,840. When the Sacagawea dollar was first introduced in the year 2000, there were a small number of coins made with a prototype reverse. These were then used to raise awareness and promote interest in the new coin. 5,500 of them were included in special promotional packs of Cheerios cereal, along with a 2000 dated Lincoln cent as well. Today, they are playfully referred to as the Cheerios dollars. They are easily identified and distinguished from the regular circulating coins by looking at the details on the tail feathers, where the Cheerios dollar has enhanced details. Here we have an original pair of Cheerios coins, slabbed and graded by PCGS as MS65 red for the penny and MS67 for the dollar coin. Together they were sold as a single lot for the price of $5,280. It's probably a safe bet to say that the 1901 San Francisco Mint Half Eagle is one of the most plentiful coins in the series. With a mintage of well over 3.6 million coins, it towers above other coins in the series. But this is a much more elusive overdate variety where you can see an underlying 0, or at least what's left of it, underneath the final 1 of the date. The current example of this red book-listed variety is graded by PCGS as MS66 and was offered at auction for $8,400. One of the most surprising things about the 1918 over 7 standing Liberty quarter dollar is that it remained completely unknown to the numismatic community until nearly 20 years after its initial release. The first mention of the variety only appearing in the 1930s. Here we have a lightly circulated coin that all the same garners the coveted full head details designation from PCGS, along with its technical grade of AU50. It was sold at auction for $10,800. But even that pales in comparison to the mystery surrounding the 1916 doubled obverse buffalo nickel. With such tremendously bold doubling, it astounds the mind to learn that the first published reports of this astounding coin appeared only in the July 1962 edition of the Numismatic Scrapbook magazine, explaining why so relatively few high-grade examples of the coin remain today. This bold doubling is seen on almost every aspect of the design, but is especially noticeable on the date. This coin, graded as XF45 by PCGS, was sold at auction for the sum of $21,600. And speaking of buffalo nickels, and by stark contrast, the 1937 D three-legged buffalo was discovered almost immediately upon release, where the initial distribution of the coin seems to have taken place largely in Montana. Examples of the coin were being offered for sale in the selfsame Numismatic Scrapbook magazine as early as 1937 and 1938, bearing its signature missing front leg on the titular buffalo. Despite this, true mint state examples of this coin remain very scarce today. This example was graded by NGC as MS66, and at auction it managed to raise $31,200. Subscribe to WNN and feel free to watch another video about incredible variety coins sold at auction right here. Next, for the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.